Hello class, in this video I am going to cover week report, class notes, and lab number 4 as well. I don't think you guys need 3 separate videos anymore. You should be accustomed to our workflow already. So for the week report number 4, these are the list of tasks that I need you to complete. First, complete week report number 4. So we're gonna do the week report first. Then you're gonna complete notes 2, and then you're gonna do lab number 4. Later you're gonna work in discussion boards, and that's it. That is all the work for this particular lecture. So let's cover week report number 4. Like always, you are going to create a folder. You are going to create a folder inside week reports. The folder is called week report number 4. And then in here you're going to put your screenshots and your week report 4.md file. Then you're going to go over the presentation and you're going to complete all the practice in the presentation. So if I go to week report 4 over here, notice that I have my practice 1, 2, challenge practice 3, and practice 4. It is a screenshot and a title identifying each practice. Let's do a preview of this. As you can see, everything is working fine. All the screenshots are over here, and here is the PDF file. Okay, so I can close this now. After you complete week report number 3, number 4, sorry, you are gonna work on class notes 2. Class notes 2 are gonna cover 2 main things: these concepts over here, and then all the commands that we use to navigate the file system: cd, pwd, ls. If you want to include the tree command and the exa command, you're welcome to do so, but you don't have to, right? If you want to put them there for your own edification, for your own education, that's fine, but you will not receive any points off if you don't have those 2 commands there. I am looking for pwd, cd, and ls. Now, when I go to notes over here, notes number 2, here is the markdown file. This is just an example of the type of formatting that I am looking for, right? As you can see, I have dummy text for the definitions over here. And on the top, I put the links to the presentation and the article as well. You don't have to do this part, that is fine. It's just that it is nice to have a quick access to the main documentation for the stuff. Then here you have an example of how I want you to annotate the commands. I simply copied the example from the previous notes over here, and like always, you have access to this repository where you can actually see an example of how everything is supposed to look like. Now, the important question here is, where do I find this information? Well, that's quite simple. All the information you need to answer these questions and to review can be found in the presentation and can be found in the article over here. Here is the presentation, and here is the article that covers everything. Like I said, everything has been provided to you, so you don't have to be fishing around the net for information. Okay, when you finish notes 2 and the week report number 4, you have had sufficient practice to take on lab number 4. So we're going to start lab number 4 now. Let me prepare my system and give me 1 second. Okay, so we are ready to start our lab number 4. By the time you get to do this lab, this message here will be gone, and the latest video, which is this one I'm recording right now, will be here in this URL. So let's get started. For question number 1, we are going to be practicing CD with absolute path. I'm not gonna do this question in the video. Here is a GIF, and here are clear instructions of what you need to do. This is very straightforward. You should be able to do this after you complete the previously mentioned work. Then we're gonna move along to question number 2, the ls command, and this is where we're actually going to start working with me, because in this example over here we have actually more interesting things to look at. So let me zoom in a little bit. The first thing that we need to do is download this zip file and decompress the file in our home directory. This is very easy. Simply click on lab 4 files. Let's just place this in home. Now just open a file manager, home, and you're gonna see here that you have lab 4 files.zip. Right click and simply click on extract here. You should have a folder here that is called lab 4 files in your home directory. Okay, now I don't need this zip file anymore, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. And I don't need this anymore, so I'm gonna get rid of it. I also don't need this directory for practicing ls because I already completed that, so that's gonna be garbage. Once you download the zip file and you have it in your home directory, we can get started then with our instructions. So change your present working directory to the shared directory, right? And then using absolute path, we're gonna list all the files inside the lab 4 files. So let's open a terminal. Let's increase the font a little bit on this. Now we're gonna go to the user share directory. Sorry. And now we need to list all the files inside the lab 4 files. Now we know that this is in the home directory. So we can do ls, the tilde character, which is the shorthand for our home directory, and then finish the path with the name of our folder, which is lab 4 files. We press enter over here, and here's all the files that are inside lab 4 files. Now change your present working directory to lab 4 files. So we're gonna go inside that folder now. Now we're gonna do a long list. Now we know that a long list is -L. Now we need to enable human readable file sizes. So now is when we open our terminal in 2, and we then take a look at man ls. Now I need an option for human readable, so I'm gonna do a quick search by pressing the / and typing human. Okay, so I know that option H gives me that, so now I'm gonna put H. Press enter over here, and you see that the human readable file size is what's displayed in the output. Now we need to modify this previous command to include a sorting option. We need to sort this by file size. So again, we're gonna do a quick search here. Size, okay, so no. Oh, -S size, but prints it in block. Sort by file size, that's what I'm looking for. So capital S, perfect. Now I am gonna let you do 4 and 5 on your own. I already showed you how to find the options, and already showed you what we're talking about when we say enable this feature, or with this option enabled. Again, I did 1 to 3. I want you to do 4 and 5 on your own. Okay. Oh, there you go. So you see 2.5 megabytes, that's the largest file, and the smallest file is this one over here, which is a C program. Okay, now question number 3, working with shell scripts, right? Now that we learned how to use the commands, let's put them in shell scripts. We're gonna use this as a visual aid whenever we need to look at the file system or remember how a particular path is. It's important to save this screenshot because we're not gonna remember this from the top of our heads. So John wants to create a script to practice CD, LS, and PWD, and also variables. The script would output this, right? So we need to build something that will output this, and we need to use these commands and variables to do so. Now let's make a pause over here. I know that some of you have taken programming classes before. You've taken Python or C++, or maybe before you went to the college, in high school, you took programming classes. So concepts like variables, loops, conditions, these things you already know them. These are not new to you. So because of that, I don't want to make you go through relearning this stuff, because it doesn't make any sense. Instead, I'm going to give you an option. So if you already understand what variables are, how to use them, and you have an understanding of programming at a fundamental level, here is the source code for this question. Just go, get the source code, put it in your scripts directory right here, save it, run it, read the source code, get your screenshot, and then move on to challenge question number 4. If you understand the screenshot, there is no need for you to come back to this video, because you understand what the code is doing. If you don't understand what the code is doing, then come back to the video and watch this, right? Again, this option is for people who already understand, has some basic or fundamental understanding of programming already, so they don't really need hand-holding when it comes to assigning variables and using them in print statements and things like that, because they already seen this before. For everyone else who is new to this, I am going to do this question in the following manner. I'm going to write the script using what we have learned already about shell scripting, and then we're going to modify the script using variables and making it more efficient. In that way, you get to see why we use variables in programming, and you can also see how they can be beneficial to you when you're writing shell scripts. So I'm going to take my time with this question. Feel free to speed through the video if you don't need it, or to use the workaround one that I mentioned, which is downloading the script and try to understand it on your own. Okay. So I'm gonna show you the script. Cancel. Quit this. So the script that I downloaded is this one here, called a script lab4 script.sh. So, and as you can see, it gives exactly the output that it's supposed to give. And here is the source code for the script. Right? So we're not gonna write it this way for now. We are gonna write it in a longer way. So I'm just gonna clear this and close my terminal. I'm gonna open my text editor, and here we are. Now notice that my text editor looks different than yours. So I'm gonna go all the way to the top here. So my text editor looks different than yours. It's the same application, but I have enabled plugins and other things here. If you want yours to resemble mine, because it has a terminal here at the bottom too, which is pretty cool, all you have to do is go to this guide that I created. It's called, it's this one over here, Customizing Gedit. Quick link over here. It also has a video. You can follow these instructions, or you can watch the video, and then you're gonna end up with a gedit that looks exactly like mine. That is if you want the functionality that I have over here. If you don't mind, if you don't care, then by all means, please feel free to ignore it. Okay. So I'm gonna put this output over here to the right, and then put my text editor to the left. So I know that I'm gonna place this script here inside my scripts folder. So I'm gonna right click here and create new file. I'm gonna call it lab4 underscore script og.sh. Right? I gave it a different name because I already have this script in the directory. Let me increase the font here. And we can see that we have 1, 2 echo commands over here. And then we have a pwd command here, right? Because we know that this is outputting an absolute path. And we also have a current directory is, which is an echo command. And then we have a pwd over here, because we know pwd is the command that's going to print the current working directory. So let's get this part done first. So let's open the file. Perfect. Let's do our shell declaration. And now let's get started with the first echo command. Echo the current user is, And now this here is my username. Now I know using the env command that there is a variable for my username that stores my username, right? So if I scroll through this over here, I'm gonna find a variable for my username right here, the variable user. So I can simply type $user to use this environment variable, and it says here its home directory is, I know that there is also a variable for my home directory. We have been using it so far. It's the home variable. So it's home directory is $home, and I know this is gonna output this line here. Let's give it a test. So let's clear our terminal. Let's change directories to a script, and let's execute this script, which is lab4 script underscore og.sh. Let me make this a little bigger. Oh, I guess I can't increase the size on this one here. That's unfortunate. So we get the first line done, and it does output the output that it's supposed to. Obviously yours is going to have your username and your home directory. That's a given. Now we have a command here that says that the current directory is downloads, right? But we know that we're not executing this script in downloads. So we must make it so that the current directory at this particular point is downloads. So for that, we need a cd command that's gonna take us to the downloads directory. Downloads. Now, here we can do a pwd command, right? That's gonna print the current working directory, but it's gonna print it and then it's gonna output the echo command. So what we need here is to tell the user that the current working directory is downloads. So we're gonna do echo the current directory is and boom. And now we do pwd, which is going to output the absolute path of our current directory. Then we see that there is another cd command here to CIS, because CIS becomes the current working directory. So we just have to repeat this. cd, let's go to home, and then let's end the path with CIS 106. Now let's do again. Just going to copy this part. Paste it over here, the current directory is, and then let's do pwd. Now let's give this a test and see if we get the output that we were looking for. Somewhat. So I got these two lines that are correctly, but notice that there is an empty line over here that I don't have. So now I need to also do an echo and empty line so that my output matches as it should. Good. So now we have this, all files including hidden files in the root of the file system. Now we need to take a look at this here, because notice that we have comma separated entries. So every folder and file is separated by a comma, but there is also some color formatting over here. Now let's see how we can get that done. So first, an echo command to say all files including hidden files in, and then here the root. Now we know that we can do this with ls minus a and then the root, right? We know we can do it that way. That is a given. Now let's see what output we get. I'm missing the commas here. So now we need to open the man page of ls and take a look at, let's see how I can get a comma in there. Let's refine our search. Commas. Oh, look at this. Format word commas minus m. That looks interesting here. So I can do format equals commas. Let's give that a try. Let's see if it works. I want you to also pay attention to this option over here where it says -m, right? Because ultimately that's what we want to, that's what we are going to use. Didn't work. Now notice that also we had this -m over here. So look what happens when I do -m. We get the commas that we're looking for, right? Now there is a cleaner way to write this, right? For instance, MA. Easier to remember. We're getting there. We are definitely getting there, but we still need the color part, right? Because we got the commas, we still need the color part. Well, let's go back to the man page. And again, let's do a search. Color. Let's see what we get with color. So we have here color and then equals when, colorize the output when, can be always, default if omitted, auto, never. Okay, so let's see what happens when we do color equals auto, for example. Because we have three options for this. So we got color equals, let's say auto. Great. We have the output that we're looking for, right? So now we need an empty line, and then we need to do the same thing but for my home directory, right? And then we do the same thing for the downloads directory, and then we do the same thing for the CIS directory. So now we can start to, just copy paste a couple of things here and there. Again, we have an empty line, and then here we need $home, and then here we just do, right? Let's just make it cleaner and more consistent. Good. Again, we have a couple of more folders to go. We need to do the downloads folder, right? So with a home/downloads. And then here again, we copy this and we do home/downloads. Now we have also the CIS directory. So CIS 106, and then we copy this guy over here and we need to paste it over here. Okay, so there you go. We are getting there. So we have this block of code over here that is just a combination of cd and echo. Then we have ls command over here. Then we have also another ls command over here for my home directory, good, the downloads directory, and the CIS 106 directory. So essentially, we have written our script, right? It's a lot of repetition there, but we were able to write the script. We only used environment variables, and we use cd, pwd, and ls. Now let's see how we can clean this up a little bit. Now, it will be very useful to try to put everything that's being repeated here in variables so that we can reuse the variable and it's just cleaner to read and run. For instance, let's take a look at this. So notice that when I highlight this, I'm using this in 3 different places, right? So we can simply say, let's create a variable called downloads. I'm just gonna call mine down to keep it short. And then this is the value of that variable. So now I can simply say $down whenever I want to call the downloads. Whenever I want to use that path, now I can just say $down. And this variable stores this information, which then is going to be inputted over here when the script is run. Right? So now we're making some progress. Now let's see what else we can also clean up. So we see here that we have the current directory is, and this is repeated twice. So again, we're gonna get rid of this. So let's call this message 1 equals to the current directory is. Good. And now we can simply call this as $msg1. Right, so now I know that when I do echo $1, I know that I'm gonna get this message here because this is the value that will get inserted over here. Let's keep it moving. So we now have home/CIS, and this is repeated 3 times. So let's create another variable here called CIS, and the value of this variable will be this path. And all we have to do now is call this CIS. And again, here we are gonna call this simply CIS, because that is gonna be referenced by this variable, CIS. Okay, now we also have this, and notice that this is repeated several times, right? Now, notice that there is also here an empty echo line. I can get rid of this if I enable -E, as we saw in the previous lecture, and then I put in a blank new line at the beginning of this echo command. So now I'm not gonna be needing this. So again, -E, -E. And again, -E. Now I don't need this, I don't need this, and I don't need this. And I can also grab this whole thing, call this message2, and then create a variable here, message2, that contains this information. So now all I need to do is, including hidden files in message2, and here again message number 2. Replace it with message number 2, and replace this with message number 2 as well. So now we have something that looks a bit better, right? This is much better than before. Let's run this script one more time, and notice that we get the exact same output as we were getting earlier. Let me clear it up. The exact same output as we were getting earlier. So notice the current user is this path is working the same, so the CD commands are working exactly how they are supposed to. Notice that the variables are getting inserted when they are supposed to get inserted, and everything is working just the way it works before, except that now we have much easier to write code and much easier to troubleshoot code as well, because we were putting in variables the things that we were going to continuously reuse throughout the script. Okay, now with that said, let's take our screenshot for this question. And there we go, right? Well, I can see the code, and I have my screenshot over here of the terminal. So let's save it, and this is gonna go in lab number 4, and I am solving question number 3. So this is gonna be q3.png, q3.png. Forgot to take a screenshot of question number 2, right? So I'm just gonna do some random things here so that I can get a screenshot that I can use. ls lab 4 files lh. There you go. I just needed some placeholder image from where I'm building my example markdown file for you guys. So that's all that's what I was doing over there. Okay, and I should also get a random screenshot for question 1. Let me just do ls minus l a x h g. Again, this is not the actual answer. Like you can see, this is just a placeholder image for when I'm building the markdown document, right? Let's continue over here, and we have now challenge question number 4. Your goal for the challenge question is to write a script that is going to give you this output that you see over here, right? Now, here are the tips for challenge question number 3. Sorry, challenge question 4. You're going to need environment variables for this script, right? And you also are going to need user-defined variables. You're going to need both, right? Now, remember that to view all the available environment variables, you need to use the env command. There are 2 environment variables over there that you can use here, right, for both the current directory and the previous working directory. So make sure you read that output slowly. Again, the ls command that we're using here is using time style for this. Use the man page and this guide here that I prepare for you for format control to figure out how exactly you need to write the style format, right? So make sure you read this, and here is an ls example that is using time style. So you have an example here, you have all the availables, control characters, and you have the man page of ls. So you have been given everything you need to figure out this ls command over here. Be aware that time style is not the only option that I'm using in this long list. So try to get it as close as possible as you can get. Get it exactly like mine, you get full credit. Get it as close as you can get, and I start taking points off. Now, after you finish this question, which I'm gonna solve now, and then we're gonna build the markdown file. Then you do the markdown file, you do your GitHub commands, and then we submit. So I'm gonna pause the video for now. I'm gonna write the script, and then I'm gonna provide you with a screenshot. Okay, so I wrote the script and had lunch. Now it's time to run it. Again, I believe I called the challenge lab script.sh, and I get the exact same output I'm supposed to get. So now I can just take a screenshot of the output, copy. Oops, I didn't mean to copy. I need to save. A script challenge script. Let me be more descriptive. Challenge question script. Okay, lab 4, save, all done. Okie dokie. Now, just a second. Okay, sorry for that. I'm back. So now I need to make sure that my script is in the proper directory, because by mistake I saved mine in the wrong folder. So I need to move it from here, and the challenge script lab 4 should be here. Paste. And also my script for question 4 should also be here. Cut. So lab number 4, the folder, mine and yours should have screenshots for question 1, 2, 3, and question 4, and it should have 2 scripts in there, which is lab 4 script and the challenge script. So I can close that, and now it's time for me to prepare my markdown file. So let's go to programming and VS Code. This should be fairly quick. Lab 4.md. I have this file already created. Now we need to put the source code of the script here. So a script source code, and the name of the script is challenge question lab4.sh. And now let's put the image here. Challenge question.png. And now let's do question 1. Q2 and then Q3. Let's do a preview. Okay, so I have question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, and the source code. Okay, my script is ready. Make sure you save your file. I saved my file, Control S, everything is saved, not a single white dot appearing over here, only green, which is good. So now let's go to terminal, new terminal, let's pull, we're done, let's add, let's commit, lab 4, since I did lab 4, week report 4, and notes 4 together at the same time, I'm just gonna put that all of them are done. If you do them independently, make sure you do a push and pull commit and tool for each and every one of them. But I did everything today, so I'm gonna put everything in one single commit. And now I'm gonna do a push. Almost done, and it's done. Now let's go to bingo. Let's go to our GitHub repository. I don't need LibreWolf open anymore. Labs, lab 4, and I need this URL. I need this URL here. You see this here, right? Because for some reason there are people who do not give me the right thing every time. I need this URL for lab 4 markdown file. This showing all the screenshots. I need this. Right, that's what I'm gonna go. That's the first place that I go to grade you, because that is the most correct version of your lab. And if I can't find this URL, then I go to the PDF file and I grade you based on the PDF file. So it is in your best interest that this URL is accessible and that you can provide me with a proper URL, right? Considering that you can modify this after you submit, right? All of those things are important. So make sure you give me the right things. Good. Now, week reports again. I need the week report.md URL, right? Make sure everything is as it's supposed to be. And for notes, same thing. Here are notes.md. I need this. Now, like always, for every one of the things that you submit, reports, notes, and lab, you need to give me the PDF document, right, as a backup, and then you need to give me the GitHub URL as the submission. I grade based on what you have on GitHub. Then if I don't find it, I go to the PDF file. If your GitHub repository is a mess, you lose points, right? If you don't give me the GitHub URL, you lose points, because there is no way for me to guarantee that you're doing the work. So let's be on point, please. With that said, after you submit all your work and you have completed all the work for this week, please take a snapshot of your virtual machine. I'm gonna show you how to do that. So I'm gonna close everything and I'm gonna turn my virtual machine off. Here is my virtual machine. Now normally you're gonna have one a snapshot here that you took from the beginning, I think on lab number 2. Delete this one, delete it, so that you have no other snapshot. Just give it a second until that deletion is complete. And now take a new one and call it lab 4 complete. And that's it. Now make sure you switch back the view to details and you're done. You have successfully completed the work for this week. You can study for your next quiz. All the details are going to be provided in Blackboard and on Slack. Take care, and if you have any questions, don't forget to reach out.